Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you difference of cube. But before I dive into difference of cube, I need to remind you of difference of two square. For instance, when you have a raised to the power 2 minus b raised to the power 2, it can be factorized to be a plus b into a minus b. That is, one of the binomial is carrying a positive sign, while the second binomial is carrying what? A negative sign. If I expand these two binomials, I'm going to get back the difference of two square. So how do you identify difference of two square? You must have two variables or numbers such that you have a minus sign in between the variable. Also, the variable must have an index of 2. So that makes it difference of what? Of 2 square. Now, coming back to difference of cube, of course, we know that cube is when you have a variable having a power or an index of what? Of 3. So if I have a raised to the power of 3 minus b raised to the power of 3, it is called difference of cube. Why? Because you have a variable having an index of 3 minus another variable having an index of 3. Now, this can be factorized as a minus b into a square plus ab plus b square. So if I expand this, I'm going to get difference of cube. Now, for instance, let's solve x raised to the power 3 minus 8 to be equal to 0. But before I solve this, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe to my channel. Now, x raised to the power 3 minus 8 is equal to 0. We can write this as difference of what? Of cube. Why? Because the index form of 8 is 2 raised to the power of 3. That is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So we now have x raised to the power 3 minus 2 raised to the power of 3 is equal to 0. Now, we need to factorize this, since we now know that it's difference of what? Of cube. So we need to factorize it. So when we factorize this, we are going to have, let's say our x is equal to a, our 2 here is equal to b. So we compare and write the what? The factorization here. So we now have x raised to the power 3 minus 2 raised to the power 3 is equal to x minus what? Minus 2 into then a square, no, x square plus what? 2x plus what? Plus 2 raised to the power of 2. That's if you compare this and this, you're going to get the expansion, the factorization of this difference of cube. So at this point, we were told that it must be equal to 0 from the question. So it means that x minus 2 must be equal to 0, or x raised to the power 2 plus 2x plus 2 raised to the power 2 must be equal to what? 0. Therefore, x minus 2 is equal to 0. It means that x is equal to 2. Then, for the second one now, we are going to use the formula method to find the value of x. That is, to solve this. So we now have, using the formula method, which is minus x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of what? B square minus 4ac over what? Over 2. Therefore, here, this is our a. The coefficient of a here is 1. Therefore, our a will be 1. Our b will be 2. Our c will be what? Will be 4. So I'll make this to be what? To be 4, because 2 raised by 2 is what? 4. So it is going to be what? 4. So at this point, this information should be represented or substituted into this formula. So we now have x is equal to minus, now what's our b? Our b is equal to 2. So now have minus 2 plus or minus square root of, our b is 2 also, so we have 2 raised by 2 minus 4. What's our a? Our a is 1 times what? C, which is 4. All over 2 times what? This is 2a. 2 times what? A, which is, our a is 1. So at this point, we have x now is equal to minus 2 plus or minus square root of. Now, 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. 4 square, 2 square is 4. So 4 minus 16 is minus what? 12. All over what? All over 2. So here, you can see we're having a complex root here. So here, we're now going to have, now, let me resolve this. Square root of minus 12. Now, this can be resolved. Now, let me resolve this. To resolve this, square root of minus 12, it can be written as, by complex number, can be written as minus 1 times what? Times 12. But we know that, okay, we have square root of minus 1 times what? 12, which can also be written as minus 1 times what? Root what? Root 12. Because this time this will give us this. Now, this is an imaginary root, that is square root of minus what? 1. So what we are going to do here is that in complex number, square root of minus 1 is equals to I. Therefore, if it is I, then I'll now have I times, now, square root of 12 can be written as 3 times what? 3 times 4. Therefore, I times, now, I times square root of 3 times 4 will now be what? Root 3 times what? Times 2, which is I times what? 2, which is 2I times what? Root what? Root 3. Therefore, root of minus 12 is equal to 2I root what? Root 3. So let's go further. So I haven't known that. So I have 2I root what? 3, or I2 root 3. Okay. So at this point, we'll now replace this to be square root of what? Of minus 12. which is x now is equal to minus 2 plus or minus 2I root what? Root 3 all over what? All over 2. Therefore, x now will now be minus 2I root 3 over 2, or minus 2 minus 2I root what? Root 3 over what? Over 2. Simplifying this will cancel this. So we now have minus 1 plus I root 3, or this will cancel this. We have minus what? Minus 1 minus I root what? 3 as the value of x. Therefore, for this solution, x is equal to what? 2, or minus 1 plus I root 3, or minus 1 minus I root what? Root 3 as our final answer. Please don't forget to follow or subscribe to see more of my videos.